What is up, everybody? This is Recap Rewind. I'm JLAG, and I'm here with
NB.
And this episode is recapping and reviewing Westworld episode 3, and it's called Virtu y Fortuna.
So let's do it. What did you think?
I enjoyed it, as I normally do. I think it's a lot
as I normally do.
as I normally do Westworld. I think that it was a little bit more tame than regular episodes, like 1 and 2 really like came in kicking, whereas I feel like the third one kind of was. This one was a little bit more
like setting up.
Yeah. I still don't really know where everything's at right now. Like I'm still kind of confused as to where things are.
Like confused with the whole timeline and like confused like with Dolores's kind of agenda at this point a little bit, because I was like asking Jill, I'm like, but why did she do that? So we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into our recap roundups at the end of the podcast, so stick around for that, like our WTF moments, our best moments, best lines, all that. But yeah,
enjoy the podcast, guys. Yeah, for sure.
I did like it, and I'm really enjoying this season. Let's break down this week's episode.
Yeah,
because I got some questions.
So let's start off right off the top with this whole new world, literally whole new world. So like Indian style.
So it's called the Raj.
It's called the Raj.
Is it India? But it's like British ruled India or something.
Yeah, like, it's British ruled India. So they.
So
like,
it is
it's
India.
Like, yeah. First I thought it was like Safari World, but I thought like it's not Africa. It's India.
It's India, but like
and people go there to like. So I'm imagining
detailed.
Like Tarzan era. You know what I mean? Like
totally.
That world. So,
everyone's in like khaki
and those like weird hats, like Jumanji style kind of.
It just looks really pretty too.
It's like, pretty. There's like, it starts off with this beautiful shot of like 2 peacocks like sitting on a hill, and then like it shows like a little high tea party like in the middle of nowhere. It's beautiful. And we meet a couple new characters. So one of them is named Grace. I had to look this up because I forgot her name. And then some next man. I couldn't look him up because I don't care.
Yeah, and I think she's gonna be a big character apparently.
Yeah, I feel like they're obviously focusing on her for some reason, so she must have some significance. She definitely seems like she's been done doing this from time. Like it's almost like in the world. She's either an owner or she like, I don't know, the way that he approached. She's like the
Man in Black version of that world.
Yeah, maybe
something
or,
like not to that extent,
like
but like
multi-billionaire in the real world or something. Like she's important, obviously, because he comes up to her and like one of the hosts like kind of like try to get him out of the conversation with her, and then he's like, oh, it looks like they don't want us to talk to each other. So already I'm like, okay, there must be a reason why like she's important. And they focus a lot on her. So anyway, the whole world just shows that it's just going down and in the Raj too.
But I do have to note here that so when she does meet this guy and they're like about to like hook up, she's like, are you a host? And he's like, no, I'm not. Right. But she's like, okay, I gotta test you. I gotta make sure that like you're not a host. She tests him by shooting him.
Right.
So by shooting him and the bullet obviously it doesn't affect him like that.
Yeah.
That kind of proves to us that the timeline that she's in right now is before Arnold. Before Ford shot himself, because that gun, if it was afterward, that gun would have been like, it would have killed him.
Activated.
Exactly. The weapon would have been activated and it would have killed him right on the spot.
Oh, I didn't even put those two things together.
So whether or not later what happens to her is like caught up to the timeline, that at least that part for sure we know. Wherever her story started is before this whole Ford thing happened.
The first time that they meet each other and like they bond.
I don't know if that later on is the continuation or there's been time in between that. I don't know.
Right.
But that kind of gives you like a point to start with her.
Or it had just kicked off. Like
maybe just kicked off.
She like shot him
the day before or something.
Yeah. It would have been interesting if they played with that a little bit. Like they were like it kind of grazed him, like it drew a little bit of blood.
I wonder
so
if
it was like kind of an
indicator. They might go back to it like next week or whatever, and like kind of explain to you like
they have to. She's not.
But there's so many details like that like you overlook, and then you're like, true, that's a huge hint to be like, when did this happen? You know,
they definitely put a lot of effort into the scene and the sequence and introducing her and introducing this new world, which is beautiful. So there's a 100% some significance her and her character. So anyway, I guess time jump or whatever, they're together and they're just like checking.
So he's not a host, like he's good,
not a host,
like
he's
they do it.
So then they check Ish out, like they're just like kind of exploring the rest of the world, and she sees like this tent and it's like bloody, and she realizes that there's like people in there that she knew when she was getting on the train to get to the world. She's been there before.
She's like, they're usually here like asking you questions. So like, but where's everyone?
Where's everybody? And then she sees these dead humans, like the guests, actually like in a tent, but they're dead, and she recognizes them from time. Yeah. And she was like, oh shit, like they're coming for us. Like I don't know what's happening. Like those guys are like actually dead.
Yeah, like something's off.
And then she sees like one of the guys coming after them too, like one of the hosts that she knows, and she was like, chill. Yeah. And then he ends up shooting the guy pieces out. Yeah. And then she gets away. She runs. Yeah. Like she shoots him and then she runs away. Then we have our tiger scene, the one that was like in the promo and we got excited about it. So we see the Bengal tiger in the forest, and then he comes after her.
Yeah, and so she starts running.
She starts running, and she ends up at the edge of a cliff.
But I think what's important too is that like when she runs past the boundaries of the world.
Yes.
So there's like a laser, and I guess that's like the fence.
It's like, you are now leaving.
Yeah, and so she passes that. Yeah. And like so like she thinks she's safe.
But she ain't.
But that tiger comes right through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right through that gate.
Yeah.
And then it comes to her on the cliff.
Right.
And then we see like a moment there, and they're kind of just like posted up. And to me, it looked like she was dead. Like,
she's done.
He like pounced for her. Yeah.
Because all we saw in the flash forward is the body of the Bengal tiger.
Yes.
So we assume that he's dead. He like jumps off the cliff and he's dead. But like what happens to her is a question.
Yeah.
So anyway, they both like it. The whole show starts off with him pouncing at her, and then the show starts. So I love these cold opens. First of all, the first two episodes, these last couple episodes have been cold opens.
I wonder why they do that. Like I wonder how they were like sitting there being like, this season we're gonna do a cold open.
I think it just has to do with the fact that they're introducing this completely new world, and it's relatively separate right now, so they have to like introduce it that way. I'm trying to remember the very first time that we ever experienced a cold open with a Game of Thrones, and it was when we saw the mountain alive for the first time, and it was so separate from the rest of the storyline at that point that it made sense. It was like this own encapsulated story.
Yeah.
So anyway, moving, like I'm just cross promoting television shows, but there was that whole situation.
Yeah.
Spoiler if you didn't watch Game of Thrones, sorry. So anyway, she jumps off the cliff with him. Yeah. And we're just gonna go right into the rest of her storyline because we don't really know why she's connected. Yeah. But by the end of the episode, it once again shows the Bengal tiger. So this is, I guess, 2 weeks later or whatever, or like a few days later. I don't know how long she's been swimming, but she rolls up and she ends up on the shoreline of Westworld with the Bengal tiger, who's now dead. So she swims up and she's just kind of like exhausted or whatever, and then she looks up because someone's like waiting for her, and it's the leader of the Ghost Nation, which is that native tribe that's in the world. And she's like, fuck.
Yeah, like what the F's gonna happen?
So the first thing that I thought was she dead, but like what's the point of taking her all the way there for her to be dead? Yeah. So they're just gonna capture her and do I don't know what to her. Like I don't know what the Ghost Nation's purpose is, because clearly they also have a purpose in this story. I don't know what it is, but like all these other guys, you know, we're looking at the Confederados and we're looking at all these, you know, like even the Man in Black's crew, the ones that shot themselves. Everyone still is kind of like in their own loops, but for some reason it feels like the Ghost Nation has their own sense of stuff. Like we'll talk about them a little bit later, but like even with Maeve, things get very questionably like, are you guys woke or are you guys not woke? Like something's going on there too.
Yeah.
So let's move on to future state since we're there. And we have our girl, Carol. I forget her name now. Carolyn? Charlotte. I was like,
when you say the future, I'm like, but what future? Everything is messed up.
Everything is the future. So it shows Charlotte, and she's like now with her crew, like the rest of the army, and Bernard shows up, and they finally meet up in that future world.
Okay.
So, or like the 2 weeks later world. And she's like, oh, hey, I didn't think you were going to make it. And I was gagged because I didn't think that they like, so this whole time for sure, we're assuming that they don't know that he's a host.
Right.
I didn't know that. I was so sure that as soon as they picked him up off the floor, that they thought that he was a host.
Look, I think they were just playing him. I think she knows that he's a host. I almost feel like they don't, like the other people might not know that he's a host.
Right.
I feel like someone must know he's a host. Like, I can't believe that.
Even the way Charlotte asked the question, like, I didn't think you had it in you to survive.
Yeah, she said a couple of these little things this week, and I was like,
like, I know that Charlotte comes off as pretty ruthless, which she is, but I don't think that she's that ruthless that she would leave like a scientist who's like really important to the park like left for dead. You know what I mean? Like, and then when he shows up, she's not like, oh wow, like, I'm so happy you're here. She's like, oh, I didn't think you had it in you. And I'm like, okay, something's up here. Or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm confused as to why we as like the viewers have to have this as a storyline. Like, we're aware.
It's another shock
right?
thing. You know what I mean?
But
like last season, we found out that he's a host even. So like.
But what I'm trying to say is, like, because we already know by episode 3 that that's like technically the situation, like, why?
Yeah.
Like, where's the reveal gonna happen now? You know what I mean? And like, am I gonna care enough? Like, is the gag gonna be that he's really the package this whole time? Like, why isn't she killing him? Why isn't she booking him? Why isn't she stopping him? I don't get it. Or maybe like he really is tricking them all, which I'm just like, damn. Seriously, Bernard, you're really tricking all these Westworld women. Like, how did you do that? So anyway. So her question at the end of it all is because she's getting everybody to like recon and like go and find the package, the special package, which is Peter Abernathy.
Right.
So they're like, no dice, we can't find him. And so she looks to Bernard and she's like, do you know what happened to Peter Abernathy? Like, he seems to keep slipping through our fingers.
Yeah.
And then it like flashes back to when they were in the world, him and Charlotte alone, like trying to like track down Peter Abernathy and then take him to the park or the central station or whatever. So it shows a quick scene of them two, and that guy, I don't know, he's in The Walking Dead. He's like one of like the bandits or whatever, and he has a bunch of the hosts.
Oh, that guy, the evil guy. Yeah.
He actually doesn't have all the hosts. He has a bunch of guests
that he's holding captive.
And then he has one. Like, and then he has Peter Abernathy. So I'm not sure why he's captured. Like,
why Peter is captured?
Yeah. Is he captured because he's still a part of like the bandit world? Like, the bandits caught everybody and they're up for ransom.
He laying low? Like,
or is he laying low,
hiding in these like groups of people and the hosts?
I don't know. Anyway, they find him because they have like their tracking pad or whatever. And so Charlotte uses like a distraction to basically reprogram the leader.
Yeah.
Like they capture him and then they should have
done this to all of them. Like, why don't you just rejig them so that they're like heroes instead of like villains?
I guess it's not that easy, right? Like, you might as well. What they ended up doing with him is made him like this sharpshooter.
They made him really good, but like he's actually a good person.
Yeah.
Like,
and then he ends up killing the rest of like the crew. So that was helpful. And then he lets everybody go. He's like, go free.
Yeah.
So then he lets everyone go, including Peter. But in that moment, the Confederacy comes, which is Dolores' army, and then they see Bernard and Peter, because Peter like glitches out and he stands in the middle of the road and starts like screaming.
He's mixed between his two worlds at this point, because his role was the rancher, and then his other role was like some like cult leader or something. So he's constantly like seeing both of those.
And on top of that, they gave him another layer, which we find out later by Bernard, that was like this basic layer that needs to get to the train.
It's basically like a fake role to like just get to this train to like deliver this information.
So he's like the entire time he's like, believe in the Lord, and then he's like, I need to get to the train. And
he's
then
like, my daughter.
He's like, my daughter. Like, he's freaking out.
He's just glitching out.
He's like, there's like too many layers
in him. And his performance as like an actor was amazing.
Really cool.
Like it's crazy to play that.
So while he's glitching out, Charlotte's like, yo, I'm peacing.
She's like, I'm out of here.
She literally runs up the hill and like takes a horse.
I think there's something behind that too. Like the fact that she just dipped so quickly.
Like, she didn't even call for Bernard.
Like, you're right. Like, she didn't even look back. Like, she didn't worry about him.
Like, I know she's ruthless. Like, we saw her from first season, but why would you just leave somebody like that?
Yeah.
Like, it's tight. So Bernard.
Or on the other side, Bernard refuses to leave. he wants to stay with Peter and like kind of figure it out, whatever it is,
but
or whatever is inside of him telling him to stay.
She wants Peter. Why would she leave him with him? You know what I mean?
I don't know. Maybe she thinks that he can figure it out on his own.
Or maybe this whole time Charlotte's been programming Bernard to like do whatever he wants to do. We don't know how Bernard was reprogrammed the second time around, you know? So like we don't really know what his purpose is right now. So
I definitely think she knows that he's a host.
She must know.
I definitely.
Just the looks that she gives. If she doesn't know, then she's an idiot.
Yeah.
So she dips, she pieces out, and she leaves them behind, and then they get captured by the Confederacy. And then it cuts to, so before we get to like where they end up going back to like the fort, whatever, like the Confederate fort. And all the while, Dolores meets up with the leader of the Confederate army. I don't know his name. He was just the captain, whatever. And so she says, there's a people coming. Here's a person. Like, this is what they look like. And she drags, like, the guy that they, like, burned his face in, like, the white stuff. She drags him in.
I think what she's trying to do in that moment is convince him. Right, to join her.
Yeah.
And she basically gives him like a weapon. She
shows him the gun.
Use this gun. You can have it if like you're with me, whatever. And it's like a sick gun, obviously. It's like it's the gun they use like in the like the tech people use it.
The real people. The people who are coming.
Assault rifle.
Yeah.
And then I guess they let that guy run. And then
just to
they
like trick him. And then like
practice,
he tests
whatever.
Like, and he's like, sick gun.
Yeah.
And then she was like, join me. So, and like, then you can have all the weapons.
And I asked you this too. I was like, what? She's like a weapon dealer now.
She's
like, what is she doing? Yeah. And like, there's all these things that she's doing where I was like, girl, like you're going like a little too far though right now.
It's too extra for me to really imagine, because right now I just like don't understand why she can't just be like, just switch. Just
that's 100% for sure. But also I think like ethically, like, what are you doing, girl? Like, you're supposed to be the hero, but you're really you're moving away from that. You know what I mean? I think they're trying to like steer her in that way where like she's really getting ahead of herself.
Yeah, she's like villain hero. She doesn't understand.
Yeah,
she doesn't understand what she's doing. She doesn't understand.
Like you're putting weapons into like the wrong hands and like.
But she also knows that she can control people. So she.
But can she?
I mean, she can't control people, but she's using it as leverage because she's the smartest of them all right now. She's like the most woke.
She's thinking that she's so
she can deal with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I agree. I think she is kind of getting ahead of herself, but at the same time, like I don't think she cares right now. She's like, I'll figure it out.
And I'm not saying that like she should be different, because this is an amazing path for her. Like this is the way her character needs to go. 100%. I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's just like, girl, like you're going like
what you doing though with your life. So then in the nighttime, she finds her dad and Bernard in like a prison
what a great
lineup.
Scene. This whole moment was like.
So first she takes her dad because she cares more about her dad, and then she sees Bernard in the lineup and she's like, send them all to prison, like send them all away. But then she has her moment with her father, which was really interesting. Yeah. What did you think about this whole sequence?
It was so beautiful, and like we're watching it together, so I was like, I didn't know how to feel, because like it was watching someone talk to their father who like had dementia or like Alzheimer's, and like, it was so freaking sad. But then I kept like giggling because I'm like, but this isn't real. Like their memories are so fake. But then I was like getting really emotional because like just their acting was amazing, and like
she like
the things that she was saying to him. Like they were saying, like she was like, remember I used to come down the stairs and like used to tell me today's gonna be like their memories were so real to them. Like.
And she feels some type of way. Like she gets really emotional about it. And it was very conflicting. Like you were saying, like, I was laughing about it. We were calling it like such a real fake moment. Because like it is that exactly. Like it was so real. It was so emotional. But like, y'all, it's like a fake storyline. Yeah. You guys aren't even related. Like you were robots.
And, like she had a new dad like at the end of the story too. But
so I don't understand.
The question is too, what's pulling her? So, what's pulling her to that
what's
memory?
Driving her?
Like,
yeah.
Why is she feeling that?
I don't know.
The same thing as like, why is Maeve feeling this thing to her daughter?
Type of way. I don't know. Like, I feel like she has a huge affinity for Peter. I guess because they've been working together this whole time.
I think the saddest part too was that like Teddy didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
She was like, my dad's here, and he's like, who?
And she's like, who's that? Remember.
And I'm like, fucking Teddy, man.
Teddy's so useless.
He's so just sad, because it's like, why don't you remember these things? Are you ever gonna remember anything? Like,
I want to talk about Teddy like in full later, but like I just feel like he right now is like very like, what are you doing with your life right now?
Yeah, and it's her seeing that too, right? She's like getting like, it's like the biggest turn off. She's like, oh, doesn't even remember my life.
What a waste, man. He's like the definition of a waste man right now. So anyway, she's upset about the whole thing with her dad, and he glitches out. The one thing, like, just going back to this scene really quickly before we end it off, but I thought it was just really interesting to see that Dolores is getting emotional about something that she knows is fake when she's the most woke in the storyline. You know, she looks at Teddy, for example, and she was like, oh, he can't even like
get out of his script.
He can't even get out of his script. But here you are getting emotional about your dad.
That's true.
And then turning around being like, I want to dominate the rest of the world. It's like, what are you glitching out about? You're glitching out too, in a way.
So there's something there then. Like, she's not as woke as you think she is. Like,
or she's going from like the Wyatt to the Dolores to like this like woke Dolores. Like, she keeps flipping back and forth, and she has her own kind of like internal trauma. So I don't know what's driving her and like what changes with her. I don't know. It's very, very confusing. So then we cut to her talking to Bernard.
Right.
So she goes and visits Bernard in prison, which is basically like an open tent. Like, I didn't understand why it was a prison, but he's there, and she was like, what are you doing here? You don't even remember who you are.
Who you're based off
of. And he's like, I don't really understand. And we also realize now, because this was a question that we had the past couple episodes, is how woke is Bernard right now too? Is he glitching out because he's trying to be himself? Is he glitching out because he doesn't know who he is? Like, what's going on? So he is woke. He knows that he's a program, and he knows that he's been based off of something, but he doesn't know that he's based off of like the creator of the world. He doesn't really understand his whole past. So it's almost as if
I can't believe she's more than he is.
Like, it's almost as if like Ford reprogrammed him to be like almost as woke as he was the last time he shot himself. So if you guys recall, like season 1, he ended up shooting himself because Ford tells him to shoot himself, and then he resets Bernard. So this time around, it's back to like that square one kind of, where he doesn't really remember his Arnold past at all. Like, that he was based off of something different. So anyway, so they have the conversation, and then she says, I want you to see something. She shows him the dad and how he's glitching out and stuff, and
she's like, fix him. Like,
she's like, fix him, or figure out what's going on. So he plugs in, and he realizes that like there is like a bunch of different things going on with him. There's like 3 different people in him, and there's that one extra layer that's like simple, but
it's like a demo layer.
It's like, a demo layer,
cheaply made.
And there's encryption in that file. Like, it's it's like covering something. So he's in there trying to like run diagnostics and try to figure him out. And finally he realized that there's like an encryption key, and like right at the very end, he's able to unlock the encryption key. So this is all kind of happening while like it's daytime now, and the war is about to begin. Like, the battle is about to begin, because Dolores said like they're gonna come. They're gonna come. So they're all getting ready on the outside while he's unlocking the dad. And so they like this whole battle scene. Like, what did you think of it? What was your whole?
I don't know. I didn't really understand what was happening.
Okay.
Because I feel like everyone looks the same. Yeah. And like, I can't tell who's on whose side. Who were the people that were coming to fight?
The army.
Like,
so
the
like
actual,
Charlotte's
like,
girl.
Charlotte's
like
people.
Charlotte's
yeah,
people.
Yeah, okay.
So they're coming in, like they drive, like, so she's even a part of that crew because she wants to get Peter.
Right, and they know that he's there.
So this timeline is after. So this is not going back to all the way to the beginning where she was like, where's Peter Abernathy? This is going back to the moment where she ends up back at the park.
Back at the park?
She ends up back with a crew, and she was like, we need to go back out there and find these people. So she goes right back out. So we forgot to talk about that, but like after she like rides away and like abandons Bernard like with Peter, she ends up finding people, finding like an army, and then she was
but
like,
not the army that we saw like in the beginning. This is like the other group of them. This is another crew.
Yeah. So anyway, she comes back to this fort, and she wants to fight these guys because she knows that Peter's in there. So
how does she know Peter's there?
I guess there's like a tracker. Maybe she still has that information from Bernard. Who knows? So she ends up going back there, and all the while, actually at one point in time, Bernard says like, as long as you have him, like, because he's special to Dolores. He says, like, as long as you have him, they're gonna keep coming after you, because like there's something about him. And then she was like, then I'm just gonna let them keep coming, because like I'm gonna like kill them all, whatever. And
does Bernard, we don't hear him say what it is, because he does unlock the code.
He does unlock the code, but I don't think they even have time to talk about it after anyway. Like he doesn't say that he's unlocked it, because like she's like off like killing people. But
do you think he's gonna say it?
I mean, right now, maybe. Like, yeah, he'll probably have to at the very end of it all. Like, maybe next episode. But I just think that, like, there is another moment that they have. Like, so they have, like, the nighttime one before she sees, like, the dad. And then they have, like, a daytime one where they're talking about, like, the world and what's out there. And the fact that, like, Bernard has never been out there. Arnold's been out there, but she's like, I've seen the rest of the world. I'm like, you know, this like thing, and I want. And he asks her, like, what's your like drive? Like, what do you want? And she's like, domination. Yeah. She just wants to dominate the world.
Like, what she says here is my best line, but she's like, we're beautiful. Like,
yeah, we're beautiful people.
Like, why don't we try to just survive?
There's
like,
beauty in us. Yeah.
So like, she's right. Like,
she's right. What you gonna do? Yeah. So that happens, and I know I'm jumping back and forth, but we're at the war again. The battle happens, and her whole plan is to kind of draw everybody in and then blow them all up, because there's dynamite inside the ground.
In that little fort area.
Yeah. So what she ends up doing is using like all the Confederate people to go out there as kind of like pawns and then draw people in and then blow everybody up, including the Confederacy. Right. So what happens at the end is they lock the gates and then they force everybody to stay outside. So the whole Confederacy's out there. And like her people who are like veiled in some like, I don't know, like they're different people. Yeah. She has like a different crew. Yeah. I think it's like the girl with the crown. It's her people. Yeah. So she makes them kill each other. Like she gets the people with like the hoods on to kill the rest of the Confederacy that are locked out. Right. And then as soon as that happens, they blow everybody else up. So the rest of the army that was coming after them, like the high-tech army, they get blown up. All the while, Peter or Bernard discovers, he unlocks and encrypts it, and then they come after Peter. Like they find like a back entrance way. Like Charlotte finds a back entrance way to get in and locate Peter and then kidnap him, take him away. And Bernard ends up just like kind of stealthily like pulling like the plug out of him and then pretending to hide in the corner. Right. So the army doesn't even see him. And he doesn't even call to them, because he could
just say, Charlotte, I'm here. Like, take me with you. There's something there too.
So there's a reason why he's hiding, but he's not hiding. Does he want to give this information to Dolores? Like, I don't understand. So, or maybe he stole it all off of him. Who knows? Yeah. So, like maybe like did a drag and drop instead of like a cut and paste instead of like copy. So he sees him get taken away, and so does Dolores. Dolores follows them like through the back, and like she's almost too far away.
Like everyone's like shooting at her.
So as they're driving away, she starts like popping these people off, and she gets shot in the fucking chest. Yeah, she gets shot in the shoulder.
There's like this like almost thing where like she's like, I don't want to let my dad go. Like you're taking my dad away from me right now.
Yeah, she had like a Terminator like moment where she just kept walking forward, and they get away anyways. So like they just like leave her, and they drive away with Peter. And so in that moment, Bernard also is like glitching out. So he's like shaking and he's freaking out a little bit too. He's leaking. And he tries to get away. Like, that's what happens. Like, I don't know what he's doing, but in the chaos of it all, he
tried to run away.
Tries to run away. Yeah, I think so. And then Clementine sees him, and then hits him over the head.
She like drags him. Yeah. But like, why did he try to run now?
That's what I mean. Like, why was there a moment
like
for you?
You should have went with Charlotte.
Yeah, at that point in time, if you wanted to run away, you should have run away at that point instead of stayed here while things were being blown up. So I don't understand. Like I said, don't know what his motivation is. I don't think he knows what his motivation is. Yeah. But he
doesn't know what side to play on at this point.
Exactly. The question is, like, did he reprogram Peter? Like, what did he do?
Yeah. What information does he know at this point?
And the question is, too, we know that Charlotte doesn't end up with Peter. because in the final future state, which we talk about in the very beginning of the episode, he's still missing. So as soon as Bernard rolls up with the new people, he's still not there.
What the hell?
So we don't know, even with her like taking him away, he's still MIA. Something in between all that, he goes missing again. Maybe the Ghost Nation, who knows? But so anyway, the war is over, and the Confederacy leader gets pissed off he's cheesed that like she killed off all of the men. Yeah. Why do you think that happened? What is your reasoning?
I have no idea. I asked you this. I don't know.
Okay. So I have one theory, and the only theory I can have is when she kills people, she's able to reprogram them to be like actual like full out robots. Instead of following one guy, she can get them all to follow her and follow her command. Think
now that they're dead, she's gonna reprogram them?
Reprogram them, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know any other reason why you would kill off a full army of people who are like fully able. Well,
she does say not everyone is meant to survive, and not everyone's gonna come into that new world.
Which I get. So that's what I'm saying is if that's the case, then maybe she's just doing this to like just turn them back into like just basic hosts.
And maybe because she knew that there was gonna be a battle, she needed men for that battle.
Right.
Now that that's over, she's like, whatever, on to the next like thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, there's so many things that I want to talk about now. I'm getting all these flash forwards, flashbacks. The last time we see Ghost Nation, Dolores is a part of that world, and she says something similar.
What does
She's
she
like,
say?
You're not like not everybody makes it to the
Ghost
end.
Nation?
Yeah. Do you remember at the very beginning, episode 1 of season 2?
Yeah.
They skin the Ghost Nation's head off.
Okay.
They pull his skull off. They download his brain, and they see Dolores.
Oh yeah.
And so like, who did they have, and like why did she see them, and why did she have to say that to them to be like, you're not supposed to make it? So that's why I also think that Ghost Nation is woke as well, or something, because she's fighting with them too. Yeah. She's not just running around killing hosts. She has a mission. She has a purpose. So when she saw Ghost Nation, like, why was that, and why was there a crossover there? I don't know. And did they have grace? Is the question now.
Yeah. Holy crap,
that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many things.
Oh my god, these timelines are like so confusing.
It's almost like you have to watch 1, 2, 3, and then you have to watch, like, after you watch 3, you have to watch 1 and 2 again. Then you have to watch 4, and then you have to watch 1, 2, and 3 again. Like, it's so confusing. So anyway, so that happens, and then
I think she gives so once that sergeant or whatever, he's cheesed at her. Right. She's like, Teddy, go and like kill him.
Kill them all.
He's like,
off.
just like
the ones who survive, they just kill them in the back. Yeah.
And Teddy's like, cool, I'll do that. Perfect, amazing. Like, I'll follow you.
But he's been glitching out this whole time.
But like, he's not excited to do it.
No,
you know,
we know
Teddy. He's like an emotional guy. He's like sensitive,
wholesome.
You know, he's wholesome.
The perfect man. Yeah.
He forgets everything clearly.
Romantic.
I love him.
Yeah.
So anyways, he goes over to like shoot the guy.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, you're like a loser, like you're pathetic, you're like you just listen to whatever she's telling you to do.
Yeah.
And he goes, you're just a child, like I'm the man, like I'm fine. And he's repeating exactly what she told him in the beginning of the episode
about
like,
the rest of them. Yeah.
About like being their children and stuff like that.
He doesn't know.
He's still
what
he's like listening to her. So I'm like, okay, he's definitely gonna kill him, like for sure. And then she's watching from the corner. Yeah. She's like lurking, and she's trying to see like if he's gonna do it. And of course he doesn't do it. He's like, get your men and go, like run right now, like, run before like she comes, back. Whatever.
Yeah.
And so like they run, and she just looked so pissed, disappointed. Like, what do you do? Like,
so that was my question. Is I think that the entire time she's trying her best to make sure that he chooses his own decision, make his own decision. But he's not strong enough. Like, he's just not strong enough. He's like a weakling.
I don't understand why she can't turn him on.
What do you mean?
Like, why is he having such a hard time with like his truth?
I guess because he just didn't have the capacity. He just didn't have enough like
his RAM isn't like high enough, and hers is like 10 G's.
Yeah, I think that's like the sad truth.
It's so sad.
It's like a breakup. Jesus, it's like you watch it and you're just like, he's not good enough for you anymore.
No, but it's not even that. It's like he can't even be that person that you need him to be.
He's never going to be able to do that.
That's the scary thing.
Yo, that's like a real relationship though. Like sometimes people can't make it that far. Oh, it's so sad. Like you can only give so much. He's giving like all he has, and he's still not enough.
I think that's what it is. So she's trying to think like, how do I keep Teddy?
But still
without Teddy, like,
yeah, because then the other option she has is to turn him to a zombie, but she doesn't want.
She
that
even
to happen.
said, she's like, "You're all I have left. Like, my dad's gone. Like, my home is gone.
Yeah.
Like, you're it for me."
So she's disappointed that he can't get out of his loop.
Yeah.
Which is a sad moment, but it's like, yeah, the struggle is real for him. Like, what can you do? She does say to him that their next mish is to head to Sweetwater, which is where she's from.
Right. She forgot something there, or she has something there.
She needs something there. So what do you think that might be?
I was like, her mom?
Like another family member.
It must be something that like she hides in her drawers, because I feel like she hides a lot of itch in her drawers.
Okay, so there's
what do you think it is?
I don't know. I just feel like okay, the question that I had is when she said like there's a weapon down there, like we didn't understand what that was. Was there a weapon?
Which weapon?
Remember last episode, it ends off with them on top of the cliff?
Yeah, like what happened to that?
I don't know.
Conversation.
So her saying like I want to go to Sweetwater, like God knows what it is.
That was after though.
Oh.
That's in the future.
I'm so confused.
We're still in the past.
Oh my god.
I think she's gonna go home and maybe find herself. Maybe it's not finding like an object. Maybe like she gets there and like all these memories like come back to her. I don't know.
She needs her like iPhone charger. She needs to like plug in. Like I don't know.
That's yeah. I want her to go home. Like I want her to like go back to that setting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see like what she discovers.
And it'll be cool to see Teddy in that setting too. Maybe he'll find something else.
Yeah. Let's cut to then that's the whole Dolores Bernard situation.
Yeah.
Let's cut to Maeve's storyline because hers is relatively short, but like it's cute. So right off the top, she's walking with her man and the storyteller,
right?
And they run into Ghost Nation right off the top. Mm-hmm. And she gets like triggered because she remembers him from the storyline that she had with...
Ghost Nation killed her daughter.
Yeah. And that main, like, especially that main guy is the one who like skinned them alive or whatever and killed them.
So she's like feeling all these things. She sees it.
Right. She even tries to stop them and they don't stop.
She does. She's like, you're not going to like hurt us or whatever.
You're going to let us pass or whatever. Because what they want is they want the storyteller.
Why do they want him?
It's like they're collecting people right now. Yeah. So there is a purpose for that's what I mean. Like they're choosing the certain people to go. They're not just like going around skinning people. You would think that these like native Indian barbaric like guys are like running around just skinning people because that's what they were built to do. But it's almost like when they became woke, like their whole purpose is different.
Their purpose is like to change themselves. They're like change our story.
Oh,
they're like, we don't want to be evil anymore, like change our path. Oh my god, that's so sad
and so cute. Kind of, I would love that actually. So anyway, he's just like, I just want to change,
but like they can't communicate with each other. Like maybe he was trying to tell Maeve like I want to be good now,
because Hector was trying to like explain it, but like he didn't understand. So anyway, she's like,
the point here is that she can't control them.
She can't control them, and they keep going. Do you think that she can't control them because she's?
I think because like she's glitching out. She's not like
she's scared.
At her full potential.
Yeah, she's not like saying it with confidence. Yeah. She's saying it with like fear.
Yeah.
So anyway, she's unable to control them, and then like the storyteller like runs away, and he finds like a little tunnel,
the gate thing,
like a gate. So then they all go in there,
and they make it like just in time. Like the thing closes and then it goes down underground.
Yeah. And the Ghost Nation gets stuck at the top. So then it shows them going through the tunnel. And we learn something about Hector's past because Hector and Maeve are not supposed to be together.
Right. So it was really cute because like they were like all lovey-dovey. They're like, we're going to be ending up together. And Hector's like, but why are we doing this? She's like, once we get my daughter, we can like leave this world and like go into our other worlds. And the storyteller's like, what the F is going on? He's like, you guys aren't meant to be in love. Like your stories like don't like
you loved Isabella.
You loved Isabella. Like that's your main love.
Yeah.
And he's like, who that? Oh yeah.
And then he was like, it was the woman that I loved forever, and like.
And then like it was his first love.
And then he's reading like he's talking as if like because he's the one that wrote the story, so he knows every single line.
So as Hector's like saying it, like he finishes the sentence basically. He's like. Yeah, I wrote that line.
And then Hector's like kind of pissed off because he's like, oh, I'm so angry that I'm a robot because like he's
I love the way he recognizes himself too. It's different from Teddy. Teddy like doesn't see it, whereas Hector like sees it and he's like, damn it.
Yeah,
he's like, I got tricked again.
Yeah, exactly. So they have a really interesting conversation between Maeve and the story maker where he basically talks about his past. Like he had his own Isabella in his real world, and he created like Maeve figures out that he created the storyline to kind of see through as a different like ending, path for the two of them. And she was like, that's kind of ridiculous if you really think about it. And all the while,
what does she say there? She's like,
she says, it's ridiculous, and so is holding hands.
Yeah.
She's like, I realized. Yeah, it was good. So while they're
freaking love her.
She's so good. She's so badass. So then it shows them in the tunnel, and they hear like a commotion, and then there's like a flamethrower.
Yeah.
Randomly.
First,
there's some guy like running.
He's
in,
like,
he's
a dragon. I'm like, oh my god, they have dragons too.
I'm like, it's a Khaleesi. No, so it's like some blonde chick, and it turns out to be Armistice, which is the woman that
Hector's like girl from the first season, like his
her
sidekick.
BFF. Yeah. So she takes them back to like an area where we have our two guys that we met from the
Felix
first season.
And forgot his other name.
Basic guy, the one who was like the more like disagreeable one of the two. So Felix and the other guy like join Maeve's crew, and they end off like walking somewhere. They keep going.
Yeah.
So they do end up going to a different area, and it's snowing.
Yeah. So they get into so basically Maeve's mission obviously is to find her daughter.
Yeah.
And we do know that her daughter is potentially in I think like World 6.
Yeah.
So she's kind of, going that way. And they get to this area where it's like snowing, and it's like a forest.
Yeah.
And the screenwriter guy, he like finds this like beheaded like
Shogun
samurai
ninja head. Yeah.
And he freaks out, but then right away he's like, wait. He like calls Maeve.
We gotta go, yeah.
Because like Maeve starts like walking like more to the middle. He's like, we gotta go. We can't stay here.
Yeah.
And like she's like, no, bitch. Like I'm here.
I'm good. Yeah.
And I guess at that point they've either crossed over to the other world, or the other world has already crossed over to their world.
Right.
And then we see like a samurai like coming for Maeve.
Right.
And then like that's how it cuts to black, and that's how the episode ends.
Yeah.
So
dun dun dun.
I don't know, like I'm only confused because he should have known that they're going to like the edge of like the other world. And so why was he so surprised?
That's why I feel there's something about the fact that it's almost like he's stupid, but he's not stupid.
Maybe there's
do you think he's playing them potentially?
I don't know. Maybe it could be, but also I think that certain things he knows because he is the writer.
But he doesn't know where things are.
Maybe like logistically, like he doesn't know everything.
Well, she keeps saying like, "Why are we always lost? Like, how do you not know where you're going?" And he's like, "I don't know. I'm stupid."
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a very interesting situation, but yeah, now they're in, and so we're assuming that this is Shogun World,
right?
Which is also one of the worlds that were introduced for this Westworld situation. So we got 3 worlds now.
We got 3 worlds. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It'll be interesting to see how they tie them all together. Does that mean that everybody's glitching out now? So now it's confirmed that every park is now being affected by this like whole Ford thing situation. Right.
Okay, let's do our recap roundups.
Let's do it.
Recap roundups.
Best moment.
My best moment was between Bernard and Dolores, because I feel like they have an interesting dynamic, and seeing them together, not as the maker and the maid, and more of like we're the same.
Yeah, it completely flips the table.
It flips everything, right? Like the entire time we're like, oh, it's Arnold and Dolores, but like seeing Bernard and Dolores together, it's kind of the first time that we really see them face to face and talking things out.
And she has this air about her, like she's like, have you even been outside? Like I have, like, and you haven't. Like,
exactly. It's this very interesting
like
chemistry that they have in comparison to Arnold and Dolores.
Yeah.
So that was my best moment.
My best moment was seeing the Raj, just because we finally got to leave Westworld a little bit and see what's popping
somewhere else.
Yeah. And I think that character, what was her name, Grace?
Yeah.
I think she's gonna be like a pretty big character.
She's gonna be a huge character for sure.
It's very intriguing.
I wonder who she is. It'd be very interesting.
Yeah. WTF moment. My WTF moment was the ending, like seeing the samurai like coming for me.
Okay.
Like I'm not worried for me, obviously, but like it's just like I was shocked that.
That's so much.
I'm also shocked that like they didn't expect it. Like they know where they're going. Yeah. They're heading towards. Like why aren't they ready for that?
Right. That's true. I don't know. Like I just feel like right now everyone's journey is a bit in the middle, including Dolores and Bernard. Their journeys are very like, I don't know what's going on. Let's just keep going. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. My WTF moment, I'm gonna give it to the real fake moment that she had with her dad, Dolores and her dad. Yeah. It was very like, I'm only calling it a WTF moment because it was really like, it wasn't my best moment because I'm just like, but why am I watching this? Like, what is this? But also I'm supposed to feel emotion.
Yeah.
So the entire time, like, what's happening? Like, how is she feeling sad? But it's not a real story. But I'm feeling sad, but I shouldn't be feeling sad. So it's a lot of like feelings.
Yeah.
And then fake feelings.
I loved it. MVP. My MVP is gonna go to the boyfriends of the month, Teddy and Hector.
Okay.
Because I feel like they have consistently like stayed by their like women's side, like Dolores, you know, with Teddy and
Dedication.
Hector and Maeve. And especially Hector, like I freaking love his character so much.
Yeah.
He sort of like blindly just follows her.
Yeah.
Questions it too though, but like totally like is like in love with her.
And she's into it.
And the fact that like even their storyline, like it wasn't meant to be that way, but she's like down for it and he's so down for it.
It's cute.
He's like, but then I found her. Like I saw her. Like it was so cute.
Yeah, it's true.
And on the flip side, like Teddy, I'm very intrigued on like what's gonna happen now that he sort of defied her and she's pretty cheesed at him. Like
she's pretty disappointed. So
it's very interesting.
It's interesting to see these two relationships at the same time and how they've been basically set up the same way.
Because I feel like Maeve and Hector, like they love each other because like they love each other.
Yeah.
And whereas like Teddy and Dolores, they love each other because they've been told to love each other for like
forever.
So like, is she gonna fall out of love with him like and be like, no?
Such
like,
interesting dynamics. Yeah. 100%. My MVP is Dolores. I thought she was so badass this episode. Seeing that scene where she's getting shot at while she's trying to come for her dad, I was like snapping so hard my fingers hurt. Like I loved it so much. Like just seeing her as a badass, and I know she doesn't really have really much of an intention or a goal right now, and we're not really sure where she's at right now, but I think Evan Rachel Wood is murdering the game. Her eyebrows 100%. Are always working some sort of magic. I look at her eyebrows the entire time because they're so emotive on their own. Like she looks sad or concerned or she's thinking. She's like almost always processing in her brain. She has to. And the way like Evan Rachel Wood pulls that off, it's phenomenal. I think she's brilliant in acting as this character, and I'm so intrigued by Dolores' badassness and what she's gonna do. Like who knows, but I'm just so into it right now. Love her.
LVP.
My LVP is gonna be Dolores.
Ooh.
And I 100% agree with you. Like Evan Rachel Wood has been absolutely slaying this role.
Yeah.
Like I can't even imagine anyone else playing this character. She's amazing in it. But I'm only saying that now because I'm kind of questioning the way she's doing it.
Like her approach.
The character and like her approach and like who is she gonna like kill along the way? Is she losing herself along the way? Like what is she giving up in the process of like searching for this like crazy like domination, right? So that's my only thing. And whereas Maeve is really like she's kind of from a different tone almost, right?
Yeah. It's very interesting that yours is Dolores because my LVP is Teddy.
Oh, Teddy.
It's like definitely you're more of a Teddy. I'm more of a Dolores.
Yeah.
Because I just felt like watching Teddy not follow through on what he's doing. It's just sad to see this character.
But why is it sad to see that he's questioning that? Like every person should be able to question what
I don't know if it's because he's questioning it anymore. I just think he just doesn't know what else to do. He's not programmed to do more than that. So it was watching this episode was almost realizing that his fate is going to be like, you're going to be left behind, bro. Like
But he can't kill people. Like that's his human side. Like he literally can't kill someone. Like,
but you keep saying, you know, like not everyone is meant to be at the end of it all.
Maybe he's not meant to be there because he can't.
But that's what I mean. And so seeing that for her, it's like a sad moment because she's like, yo, I'm going to have to break up with this guy.
Like, and I want her to because they're not meant to be together.
Right.
That's the way I see it. Right. I don't see it as like a weakness in Teddy that like he can't make that decision. He's not evil like that. Like he can't get to that level and like slay everyone.
I don't know. Part of me just wants to be like, listen to your woman, man. Like look at Hector and Maeve and how much they're
so alike.
Right. But she could be ruthless too, and he doesn't even bat an eye. She's like, shoot that guy, she'll shoot him.
Then like he's in love with her. Maybe Teddy's not in love with like Dolores. That's what I mean when I say like their love is different. They've been told that they love each other.
Yeah.
That's been their story. But do they really love each other? I don't know because their missions don't seem to be synced up together.
That's true.
Teddy feels more, or maybe he doesn't feel anything, but I don't believe that. Like he didn't want to kill those people. Like he sees beyond that.
That's true.
And that's always been his character. So it's not a weakness to me. It's more like a.
I think he's weak.
He's just not
weak enough
for her.
That's
you know.
Fair enough.
The best line. My best line is Dolores. She says when she's talking to Bernard, she goes, "Here we are, a kind that will never know death, and yet we're fighting to live. There's beauty in what we are. Shouldn't we try to survive?"
Yeah. It's just like the insurgents of the robots.
Yeah. But it's so ironic that like they don't ever die, but they're still out here like trying to like survive right now.
Survive, yeah.
So like it's true.
It's interesting. My favorite line was the one between the story maker and Maeve when she's talking about these storylines being like fake or not fake, and she asks him about Isabella's, like the real Isabella, his Isabella, and she says, yeah, I was wrong. It's actually very sad. And then he's like, yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. And she's like, so is holding hands, I guess. So it's almost like her realizing herself by talking to him about his experiences. It's almost like she's learning along the way.
Yeah.
Like how silly things can be, you know? And a part of me almost feels like when she gets to that final destination, her daughter or not her daughter, or not finding her daughter's dead or something, that she's going to be okay with that. And she's going to learn to move forward from that. And I think she's picking up these small pieces from him. It's almost like when she said that, she was like, yeah, I guess holding hands is stupid too.
It's funny though,
like
when she said
all
that,
of it's silly.
To me, she sounds like Maeve the character. Like she sounds like her old self. Someone who is kind of like, she's not married, she's on her own, like she's been like pimping in this bar saloon life. Like she sounds like her character.
Right. So yeah, that was my favorite line.
Cool.
All right, guys, that's the end of the podcast. Let us know what you guys think about Westworld right now. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I hope you guys are enjoying our podcast and listening to them. If you are, make sure you guys comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys check out the rest of our content. Recap_rewind. We're basically everywhere right now. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, you name it. We're there. We there. So just check us out and make sure you guys give us some love. I think that's it.
That's it.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.